Swadika, hello and welcome to ASEAN Challenge, the show to give you the latest headlines, hot topics and updates happening around your ASEAN community in two languages, Thai and English. I'm Rosalind Tepawan.
And I'm Alisa Sittwe ขอต้อนรับคุณผู้ชมทุกท่านเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ค่ะข่าวสารรอบอาเซียนเป็นทั้งภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทย
And kicking off ASEAN around us, let's take a look at what is making the headlines in around our ASEAN community. Starting off with what's going on in Cambodia. The country collectively broke a new Guinness Book of World Records.
That's right. In Cambodia, of course, a country full of culture and tradition. Now, this time they are going to break the world record in trying to make the longest scarf, you can say. Now, this scarf is called krama, and it's a traditional Cambodian scarf to help hit an attempt to reach 1,000 meters in length. They begin, so we can say, making the scarf around Valentine's Day, actually, February 14th. They're trying to make it to 1,000 meters altogether in order to, what we can say, get the world record. Actually, February 24th, not 14th. So not too long ago were they, just starting to make it. And we have lots of visitors coming to see the making of the scarf.
Altogether, lots of people engaged in this activity. It wasn't only a record-breaking activity, but it was also a communal effort as well that brought so many people together of all different proficiencies and all different skill levels and skill sets in weaving. So not only did you have expert weavers, but also amateur weavers joining together to create this extra long garment. And so after a while, it also permeates the culture. You could say it also spreads the culture of weaving that began since the 19th century, you could say, in Cambodia. So between that time, it continued to evolve and develop until the 1970s when the Khmer Rouge regime stepped in and almost destroyed the culture altogether. But now it's revived and it's actually succeeding and altogether creating a new world record.
That's right. So the campaign itself is aimed to raise awareness about the tradition of weaving, the importance of krama, as well as motivating the people to be united to break the world record. And as for the krama itself, it's a traditional garment that Cambodians use daily as a headgear to shield one from the sun, to use while bathing, or you can use it as a scarf or as part of your clothing or apparel as well. So we can see that the krama tends to be a very important or significant traditional Cambodian scarf.
Right. Well, you think that clothing, textiles, and scarves are used just for just that, but apparently it can also be used as a form of weaponry. So quite interestingly enough, it's very prolific. You can use it in many different areas. So that said, the cloth itself is going to be publicized and popularized in Cambodia as a result of this new record. So it's quite exciting for Cambodia.
That's right. So we're waiting to see how the finished krama comes out to be, and of course if it's going to become 1,000 meters or not, of course. And of course, in terms of the government, they support this campaign, and they've said that, of course, it helps to contribute to the country and strengthen in terms of textiles, culture, and tourism as well.
So right, we'll keep on our fingers crossed that Cambodians will be able to bring home the record.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนของ ASEAN Around Us ค่ะมากันที่ประเทศกัมพูชานะคะซึ่งทางกัมพูชาค่ะก็ได้ทำกิจกรรมขึ้นมานะคะเพื่อที่จะบันทึกลงสถิติโลกหรือว่า Guinness World Records นั่นเองนะคะกัมพูชาได้พยายามทอผ้าพันคอที่ยาวที่สุดในโลกนั่นเองผ้าพันคอนี้นะคะก็เป็นผ้าพันคอแบบครามานะคะซึ่งเป็นผ้าพันคอแบบกัมพูชาดั้งเดิมค่ะความพยายามของเขานะคะก็คือพยายามที่จะให้มันยาวทั้งหมด 1,000 เมตรนะคะกิจกรรมนี้ก็เริ่มต้นขึ้นเมื่อวันที่14กุมภาพันธ์วันวาเลนไทน์นั่นเองนะคะซึ่งตัวครามานั่นเองค่ะก็ถือว่าเป็นเครื่องแต่งกายแบบดั้งเดิมของชาวกัมพูชาใช้เป็นประจำในทุกๆวันนะคะชาวกัมพูชาจะใช้ผ้าแบบนี้นะคะเป็นผ้าอเนกประสงค์ใช้ไว้เพื่อป้องกันแสงจากพระอาทิตย์นะคะหรือว่าจะใช้เวลาอาบน้ำใช้เป็นผ้าพันคอหรือว่าเป็นเสื้อผ้าก็ได้หรือนอกจากนี้ก็สามารถที่จะใช้เป็นของตกแต่งหรือว่าสามารถใช้เป็นแฮมม็อกหรือว่าเปลสำหรับเด็กได้อีกนะคะ
บางทีก็ใช้อีกหลายอย่างได้นะคะอย่างเช่นใช้เป็นอาวุธก็มีนะคะซึ่งสุดท้ายแล้วก็เป็นการร่วมมือระดมกำลังจาก20หมู่บ้านเลยค่ะเพื่อที่จะทอผ้าให้ถึงจุดประสงค์นั่นเองเราก็จะคอยจับตาดูนะคะแล้วก็คอยเชียร์ให้ได้ชัยชนะด้วยค่ะ
ถูกต้องค่ะ With that said, we'll keep you posted, but for now we'll take a short break and we'll be back soon.
Stay with us. welcome back to the program. Into ASEAN Challenge, let's head over to ASEAN Hot Topics to see what headlines are making the news over the past week and beyond. But first we begin with situations and developments happening in Myanmar now, with the latest report of 3 bombs blasting in the capital of Rakhine State, the restive area of Myanmar.
That's right. So a total of 3 bombs were found, of course, in the Rakhine State, in Sittwe to be specific, of course, on February 24th. Now, these 3 bombing attacks, of course, luckily no deaths have been reported. However, 1 police officer was mildly injured from the situation. In terms of Sittwe, it's the capital of Myanmar's violence-torn Rakhine State, where we know that there's the ongoing situation of the Rohingya Muslim crisis going on, of course. Now, the first bomb, of course, occurred near a house. It occurred at around 4:30 a.m. local time and exploded in the backyard of an outspoken state government secretary. And police have said that it was one of the high-ranking officials in the local administration as well. So that's just one of the bombs. The other one was near the house as well, another house, and another one was on the road.
What's quite interesting is that all these bombs happened around the areas surrounding government official backyards, buildings, the other 2 at a high court and a land record office as well. So a lot of government security officers and officials involved in this suspicious bombing, but so far no one has come out to take responsibility for these incidents. And so far the Rakhine police chief had come out to tell Reuters and other news agencies that security is being tightened around those areas as they continue to investigate the perpetrators behind the bombings, who they're from, and what divisions are, if they're involved with Rohingya or other groups as well.
That's right. So we can see that a lot of violence is ongoing in the Rakhine State, and as mentioned, is it involved in terms of ethnic, the diversity, and in terms of the conflict going on in the different religious groups going on, whether it's the Rohingya Muslims, in which of course we know at the moment now they've pushed 688,000 Rohingyas across the border to Bangladesh, and many of them recounted killings, rapes, and arson by Myanmar soldiers and police as well. Now we have these bombings ongoing as well. But other than these 3 bombs which did go off in the Rakhine State, there were another 3 bombs as well, but however authorities were able to get these bombs before they exploded, of course.
Yes, and these incidents continue to happen as many refugees, Myanmar and Rohingya Muslims, continue to seek refuge and flee the war-torn areas. We'll keep you posted on developments in this particular case that's turning many heads.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนของ ASEAN Hot Issue ค่ะมาเริ่มกันที่ประเทศเมียนมากันค่ะที่รัฐยะไข่นะคะเมืองซิตเวนั่นเองค่ะก็เกิดเหตุระเบิด3ครั้งนะคะระเบิดที่1ค่ะปะทุลงใกล้บ้านของเจ้าหน้าที่ตำรวจระดับสูงค่ะลูกที่2นะคะระเบิดในบริเวณบ้านพักของเลขานุการการปกครองส่วนรัฐยะไข่ค่ะและส่วนระเบิดที่3นะคะก็เกิดขึ้นที่ถนนสายหลักที่มุ่งหน้าไปยังชายหาดนั่นเองค่ะเบื้องต้นนะคะก็ยังไม่พบผู้เสียชีวิตและมีตำรวจ1 นายบาดเจ็บเล็กน้อยนอกจากนี้นะคะก็ยังพบระเบิดอีก3 ลูกนะคะที่ถูกซุกซ่อนในหลายพื้นที่ในเมืองซิตเวค่ะแต่ว่าโชคดีไปที่เจ้าหน้าที่เก็บกู้ได้อย่างปลอดภัย
ค่ะจุดที่น่าสนใจก็คือ3ระเบิดนี้นะคะเกิดขึ้นหลังบ้านที่เป็นของรัฐบาลนะคะหน่วยงานรัฐบาลหรือว่าหน่วยงานรัฐนั่นเองแล้วก็มีที่อยู่ใกล้ๆศาลเช่นกันนะคะเป็นเหตุการณ์ที่เกิดขึ้นในสถานที่ที่เกี่ยวข้องกับรัฐบาลทั้งนั้นซึ่งทางเจ้าหน้าที่นะคะก็ยังติดตามสอบสวนอยู่นะคะแล้วก็สืบสวนว่าเกิดจากที่อะไรแล้วก็ใครค่ะ
So keep you posted. Yep, of course. But moving on to Cambodia now, of course, in terms of their election ongoing in the country, Cambodia's ruling party has said recently that it has won every seat up for election on the Senate in a ballot held after thousands of opposition lawmakers and local council leaders were stripped off of their right to vote. Now, as we know that earlier, the opposition party was dismissed by the court, of course, and it was closed down. And Cambodia's prime minister and president of the Cambodian People's Party, or CPP, Hun Sen, had drops of ballots into the box during the Senate election, and of course they were able to gain 58 seats altogether.
And this follows a continuous crackdown against opposition by Hun Sen's leading party as well. So this situation is unsurprising by many when the opposition and other involved parties and rights groups have come out to call this vote a sham and undemocratic as a result of the continuous crackdown from the ruling party in Cambodia. But altogether, the win of 58 seats out of 62 in the Senate altogether had left the other three political parties with absolutely nothing, it seems. So the situation is ongoing as the election draws near, the general election in Cambodia, where Hun Sen is expected to pick up the pace and continue his crackdown.
That's right. So official results were not yet available, but two officials on the National Election Committee, or NEC, confirmed the results published by the CPP, headed by Prime Minister Hussein as well. So we're going to have to see how this election comes out, especially with no opposition party in the process, of course.
Right, and we'll keep you posted on that as well.
ใช่แล้วค่ะ มาดูกันต่อในข่าวจากประเทศกัมพูชากันบ้างค่ะ ซึ่งทางพรรคการเมืองของสมเด็จฮุนเซนนะคะนายกรัฐมนตรีของกัมพูชาค่ะก็ได้คว้าชัยชนะทั้ง58ที่นั่งในการเลือกตั้งสมาชิกวุฒิสภาซึ่งเป็นการเลือกตั้งครั้งแรกที่ไม่มีผู้สมัครจากพรรคฝ่ายค้านนั่นเองค่ะอย่างไรก็ตามนะคะก็มีหลายฝ่ายนะคะจากในและต่างประเทศที่วิจารณ์การเลือกตั้งในครั้งนี้อย่างหนักว่าปราศจากความชอบธรรมอย่างสิ้นเชิงเนื่องจากว่าเป็นครั้งแรกในประวัติศาสตร์ที่ไม่มีผู้สมัครและตัวแทนผู้เลือกตั้งจากพรรคฝ่ายค้านนั่นเอง
ค่ะก็นับว่าเป็นจุดสำคัญนะคะของการต่อเนื่องของรัฐบาลฮุนเซนซึ่งเราจะคอยรายงานเรื่อยๆนะคะว่ามีเหตุการณ์แล้วก็การตรวจสอบแล้วก็การโหวตยังไงบ้างค่ะ But in the meantime, let's turn over from Cambodia and head to the Philippines now to see what's going on with another legislation that's coming out. Filipino Catholics have once again come out to march the streets of Manila after a year anniversary since their last march to campaign against Rodrigo Duterte, the leader of the Philippines, his war on drugs, and also legislation to consider reimposing the death penalty, capital punishment, as well as substitute for divorce.
That's right. So, of course, several thousands of protesters came out and they prayed with rosaries and sang hymns, of course, in order to, what we can say, protest against all of these things that are ongoing within the country itself. Now, this occurred, of course, so we call it the Walk of Life, and more than 3,000 suspected drug users and pushers have been killed since Duterte came into the office. So, therefore, of course, his war on drugs, we can say that is his primary goal for the country and his promise to the country. But however, in the war on drugs, of course, 3,000 suspects have been also pushed and killed since 2016. Police said that the killings resulted from self-defense, but however, that's still an ongoing situation that people are taking a look on.
Right, this annual march by the Catholic groups in the Philippines sent out a big message across the country as 80% of Filipinos are Catholics. So perhaps this comes out as a symbolic move, not just representing the country in general, but a powerful message being sent to the government. But following last year's march, it seems that this powerful community perhaps may not be enough to turn Rodrigo Duterte's head.
That's right มาดูกันต่อที่ประเทศของฟิลิปปินส์นั่นเองค่ะซึ่งมีบาทหลวงนะคะแล้วก็ชาวคาทอลิกในฟิลิปปินส์นะคะหลายพันคนเลยทีเดียวที่ได้เดินขบวนในกรุงมะนิลาแล้วก็ได้แสดงพลังต่อต้านร่างกฎหมายที่มีการหย่าร้างได้นะคะแล้วก็ต่อต้านสงครามยาเสพติดของฝั่งดูเตเต้นะคะหลังจากที่ตำรวจวิสามันนักค้ายา10 ศพภายในคืนเดียวนอกจากนี้นะคะตั้งแต่ดูเตเต้ได้รับตำแหน่งในปี 2016 นั่นเองนะคะก็มีผู้เสียชีวิตจากการล้างยาเสพติดทั้งหมด 3,000 กว่าคนละ
Right, and so we'll keep you posted on those developments coming from the Philippines as the war on drugs there continues. But meanwhile, on another note, let's head over to talk about the latest developments happening in Indonesia now after a huge landslide had killed 7 people altogether, and in this report 13 people have still been missing as of Friday the 23rd following this deadly landslide in Indonesia, which currently just witnessed and experienced another disaster as well. The volcanic eruptions being in the ring of fire, Indonesia has been subject to a lot of natural catastrophes lately, and this is the latest.
That's right. So, of course, the situation ongoing, the current landslide, of course, it struck in a village in central Java, killing 7 people. And, of course, at the moment, 13 people are still missing as of February 23rd. An ongoing search and rescue mission was being hampered by the wide area of the avalanche, as well as the depth of the eroded soil, which is estimated to be 5 to 20 meters thick. Now, as you mentioned, of course, as being in the Ring of Fire, this is something that Indonesia suffers quite often. Landslides, monsoons, volcanoes, and so forth.
Right, and we'll keep you posted on those developments as various officials and disaster mitigators continue to search for the missing.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันต่อที่ประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะทางหน่วยกู้ภัยของอินโดนีเซียนะคะก็ได้ค้นหาผู้ประสบภัยจากภัยพิบัติดินถล่มบนเกาะชวานั่นเองค่ะที่ทำให้มีผู้เสียชีวิตแล้ว7 รายแล้วมีผู้สูญหายไปอีก13 รายนะคะเหตุการณ์ก็เกิดขึ้นจากการที่ฝนตกหนักนะคะทำให้เกิดดินถล่มในเมืองเบรเบสนะคะจังหวัดชวาเมื่อสัปดาห์ก่อนนั่นเอง
Right, and we'll keep on monitoring the situation there as well. But we head over from Indonesia now to talk about another story developing still in Indonesia, this time involving North Korea. New developments have come out now as new evidence have come out regarding a woman accused of poisoning North Korean leader's half-brother Kim Jong-nam. Apparently, this woman in particular had flown from Indonesia now to Macau. She had been paid about $1,020 by the Hong Kong hackman, North Korean actually, to buy tickets to Macau and play this prank she believed that was meant for television and not as any kind of political innuendo.
That's right. So if you remember this case, of course, the half-brother of North Korean leader Kim Jong-nam, of course, has at the airport was poisoned at the Malaysian airport. Now, of course, investigations have been ongoing ever since then, and the latest updates to it, as mentioned, the woman who was accused and, as you mentioned, believed that she was on a television program going to prank someone. Now, they said that on February 8th of last year, the Indonesian Sittwe had been given 4,000 ringgit, or about $1,020, by Hong Song-hak, a North Korean, to buy tickets to Macau so that she could play pranks for a reality TV show. Her lawyer, Goy Sun Seng, told the court that it must be something to do with politics, that this woman is innocent, but Hong called her later that day to tell her that the trip was off. Gui did not state whether Hong gave any reasons for the cancellation, and that day Kim Jong-nam arrived in Malaysia, or 2 days later actually.
So altogether, there was a lot of correspondence happening in the meantime, a lot of missed calls, 5 in particular from Hong, before picking up on the 6th. Phone records had come out to show all of this evidence leading up to the cancellation, but Gui had argued that the killing was politically motivated, with many key suspects involved linking to the North Korean embassy in Kuala Lumpur. And still, this kind of is another piece of the puzzle that continues to help create clarity in the investigations as to who committed the murder and if it was a murder and what states were involved.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันต่อนะคะกับข่าวต่อไปอย่างที่เกิดขึ้นในเมื่อปีที่แล้วนะคะการเสียชีวิตและวางยาพิษของพี่ชายผู้นำเกาหลีเหนือนั่นเองค่ะหญิงที่ถูกกล่าวหาว่าเป็นผู้วางยาพิษให้พี่ชายของผู้นำเกาหลีเหนือคิงจองนัมนะคะที่สนามบินของมาเลเซียเนี่ยค่ะก็ได้รับการจ่ายเงินเพื่อเดินทางไปยังมาเก๊านะคะบ้านของคิมนั่นเองไม่กี่วันก่อนเหตุฆาตกรรมเกิดขึ้นนั่นเองค่ะแต่ว่าทางทนายความของเธอนะคะก็ได้ย้ำว่าการสังหารในครั้งนี้มีแรงจูงใจทางการเมืองโดยที่ผู้ต้องสงสัยหลักหลายคนนะคะมีความเชื่อมโยงกับสถานทูตเกาหลีเหนือในกรุงกัวลาลัมเปอร์แต่ว่าไม่เกี่ยวข้องกับลูกความของเขานั่นเอง
ค่ะนี่ก็เป็นการ develop นะคะในเคสอันนี้ซึ่งเราก็จะคอยติดตามเรื่อยๆนะคะเพราะว่าเกิดขึ้นสักพักแล้วแต่ว่าทุกวันก็จะมีการสืบสวนแล้วก็มีรายละเอียดเพิ่มขึ้นเรื่อยๆซึ่งเราก็จะคอยอัปเดตนะคะแต่ตอนนี้ let's take a short break. When we come back, more developments coming up on a lighter note in ASEAN calendar. Stay tuned.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
back to the program. Into ASEAN Challenge, we take a look at what's making headlines in the calendar this time to mark your dates.
ใช่แล้วค่ะกลับเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ในช่วงนี้ ASEAN Calendar ไปติดตามชมกันค่ะ The 1st of March 2018, Maka Busha Day. It was 9 full months after the Buddha got the enlightenment, on the full moon day of the 6th lunar month, 45 years before the Buddhist era. On the full moon day of the 3rd lunar month, Maka of the year, 4 special events happened. 1. There were 1,250 Sangha followers that came to see the Buddha that evening without any schedule. 2. All of them were Arahants, the enlightened one, and all of them were ordained by the Buddha himself. 3. The Buddha gave those Arahants the principles of the Buddhism, called the Ovad Patimokkha. Those principles are to cease from all evil, to do what is good, to cleanse one's mind. 4. It was a full moon day. Another important event which happened on the same days, the full moon day of the 3rd lunar month, 44 years later, the last year of the Buddha's life, he decided to parinippan or nirvana, leave the mind from the body or die. 3 months after that day, on the full moon day of the 6th lunar month, we know as Visakha Busha Day. Activities to be observed on Maka Busha Day. Tambun, making merit by going to temples for special observances, making merit, listening to Dharma practices, giving some donations, and joining in the other Buddhist activities. Rapsin, keeping the 5 precepts including abstinence from alcoholic drinks and all kinds of immoral acts. Bakbad, offering food to the monks and novices in the alm bowl. Practice of renunciation. Observe the 8 precepts, practice of meditation and mental discipline. Stay in the temple wearing white robes for a number of days. Wien Tien, attending the candlelight procession around the Ubosot Hall in the evening of the Wisek full moon day. Of March 2018, full moon day of Tabal. Full moon day of Tabal in Myanmar is a Buddhist holiday that comes on the full moon of the 3rd month of the Burmese calendar. That normally corresponds to sometime in March on the Gregorian calendar. The whole month of Tabal is a time of celebration, colorful cultural events, and Buddhist devotion in Myanmar. Full moon day of Tabal, also known Maka Busha, is the highlight of it all. This is a time when Buddhist devotees will go to temples and make merit. It is also the time of the Shwedagon Pagoda Festival, the biggest one of the year in all of Myanmar. At the outset of this festival, there will be ceremonial offerings made to 28 different statues of Buddha. Then for 10 days straight, there will be recitals of various Buddhist scriptures.
March 2nd, Peasants' Day. Myanmar, also known as Burma, celebrates Peasants' Day yearly, every 2nd of March. It is incidentally the General Ne Win's seizure of power in 1962. Ne Win is a military commander and a politician of Myanmar. He served 2 terms as the country's prime minister from 1958 to 1960, and another from 1962 to 1974. He was also the country's head of state from 1962 to 1981. He's also head of the country's powerful political party Socialist Program Party from 1964 until 1988. The party was the only party allowed to exist during the Ne Win's strict military rule, until he was ousted as a result of social unrest happening on 1988, known as the 8888 Uprising. During this day, various talks and development programs were laid down, discussed, and revealed for the improvement of the peasant sector, which is the country's flagship economy. History of Myanmar's Peasants' Day. The peasant sector occupies around 70% of Myanmar's population and undoubtedly the most productive workforce in the country. Because of this, Myanmar recognizes the powerful control of farmers in driving the country's economic output. But it's the farming sector that usually suffers whenever a power struggle happens in the country, as rebels usually flee into the jungles of Myanmar to avoid prosecution and seek protection. The country has long been wanting to transform this country into a developed nation with plans to improve the industrial sector of society, but inadequate funding, corruption, and political instability halted the region from realizing its true potential. The entirety of the peasantry before 1965 experienced usury and inappropriate use of agricultural land. Farming lands were rented, and many of the farmers couldn't keep up with the rising cost of land rent. During this time, laws were passed to protect farmers against this practice and led to massive land reformation, and among them is the passing of Protecting Farmers Against Land Renting. These acts were all made under the military administration of Ne Win and continue until today. Most of the monumental reformation happened during his term and continued until his resignation in 1988 after an uprising. Today, Myanmar still focuses on the development of new technologies and laws to protect farmers from unfair land treatment and support their various causes, as the whole country's economy depends on this sector. Myanmar Peasants' Day. Traditions, customs, and activities. During the holiday, Myanmar's local leaders organize talks on reforms in peasantry around the country and present issues challenging the development of the agricultural field. Since this is a national holiday, public companies are closed while some private companies remain open. Families and individuals may choose to remain indoors or visit local parks, pagodas, temples as well in the area. Also, trade and cultural shows organized around the country showcase these traditional crafts, culture, and arts. The 3rd of March 2018, World Wildlife Day. World Wildlife Day is on March 3rd every year to raise awareness of endangered animals and plants and ways to fight against wildlife crime. Pledges and donations. Wildlife crime involves illegally selling and buying animal body parts, as well as stealing or killing animals that are protected by government laws. Organizations like the World Wildlife Fund, or WWF, and the United Nations, or UN, want to end these kinds of crimes, so they promote the day by asking people to back a ranger, donate money to help rangers who protect endangered animals get equipment and training they need to stop wildlife crime, sign pledges urging governments to strengthen their laws to stop wildlife crime. What's open or closed? World Wildlife Day is a global observance and not a public holiday, so it's business as usual. About World Wildlife Day. Wildlife trade is one of the most profitable illicit trades in the world, estimated at up to $10 billion annually. Illegal wildlife trade and elephant ivory, rhino horns, and tiger products is widespread in many countries, particularly in Asia and Africa. It is controlled by dangerous crime syndicates that traffic wildlife like drugs or weapons. On December 20th, 2013, the UN added World Wildlife Day to its calendar as an official event to be celebrated from March 3, 2014 onwards. It declared the day out of concern that wildlife crime had negative economic, environmental, and social impacts worldwide. What is International Women's Day? International Women's Day came into being to support women's rights and their involvement in politics and economics. Its origins stem from North American and European labor movements at the start of the 20th century. IWD was first marked when women protested working conditions, and the subsequent 1908 garment workers' strike in New York was honored by the Socialist Party of America on February 28, 1909. A year later in Copenhagen, the Socialist International created a Global Women's Day that built support for women's suffrage and was approved by over 100 women from 17 countries. On March 19, 1911, Austria, Denmark, Germany, and Switzerland celebrated International Women's Day and rallied for the right to vote, hold public office, and women's rights at work. During the First World War, IWD evolved into a protest against the war, and women in Russia held a strike for bread and peace on the last Sunday in February, which fell on March 8th on the Gregorian calendar in 1917. The Tsar then abdicated and the government granted women the vote in Russia. On February 6, 1918, the UK passed the Representation of the People Act that allowed women over 30 with certain property and qualifications to vote. In 1975, the United Nations began officially celebrating International Women's Day on March 8th. In 1995, the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action was established and signed to encourage women and children to make choices, get an education, get involved in politics, and have an income without being discriminated. Alongside this, in 2014, the 58th session of the Commission of the Status of Women, an annual gathering dedicated to women's rights and gender equality, focused on the Millennium Development Goals for women and girls. When is International Women's Day? International Women's Day is marked on March 8th every year and is a worldwide celebration. The March 8th date was suggested at the 1910 International Women's Conference in New York, and after women gained suffrage in Soviet Russia in 1917, the day became a national holiday. After being celebrated by communist countries and socialist movements, IWD was adopted by the United Nations in 1975 and officially celebrated on this day.
And with that said, we'll take a short break. We'll be back soon.
Stay with us. Welcome back to the show, into ASEAN Interview Now. As always, we have some interesting insights to share with you on this segment.
ใช่แล้วค่ะกลับเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ค่ะในช่วง ASEAN Interview นะคะเช่นเคยเรื่องที่น่าสนใจไปติดตามกันเลยค่ะ
Hello and Sadika. Welcome back to ASEAN Challenge Show with your host Pama again. So as usual for today we have yet another interesting guest to talk about his experiences and especially on Japanese work ethics. So let's welcome Japanese student Kotaro to share his insights. Hello and welcome to the show, Kotaro.
Hello, Sawadee-ka. I'm Kotaro from Japan. I'm 20 years old. I'm majoring in international business.
Thank you so much for coming for today's interview. So we are going to talk about work ethics of Japan. So everyone says Japan has a very good work ethics. So as a Japanese yourself, so how do you find this statement? How do you see, like, are Japanese really hardworking?
Yeah, definitely. I think so. Well, as including me, almost Japanese hardworking, and my grandfather, they are now 74 years old. So they worked until 70 years old.
So do you see yourself as hardworking? Do you feel you are also like hardworking person?
Not really, but I was working 6 days or 7 days a week in Japan. But I don't like work harder. just like Japanese.
I see. So Japanese, they always praise about Japanese work ethics. So how do you notice any difference between people here to your home country? Are they same, or like how do you find them different?
For work,
Yes, especially when it comes to working and work ethics.
just one thing I noticed when I went to restaurant, the staff who working there was reading against the wall and they are using a cell phone. In addition, they are taking a selfie while they are working. That's so surprising for me because if it's Japan, they are in Japan, they maybe get fired on the first day. That's so bad in Japan. That's rude, kind of.
I see. So like you're not allowed to use your cell phone when you're working back in Japan.
No, of course not.
Oh, so if you use that, you're fired. I see. So what do you think is the motivation which makes people hardworking? What do you think makes people to work hard?
I think Japanese people, almost Japanese people, are hardworking. It's because of culture. Because almost people start working from 16 years old or 7 years old. That's why we start work. Because everybody around me is started working. That's why I started working. But not here, right?
Oh, so it's like based in the culture, like your culture sort of promotes people to work hard.
Yes.
Wow. So how do you think learning environment here is same with Japan?
Learning environment. Yes, I think almost same. Actually, in Japan, I was going to college. I'm not going to university. So I don't know exactly what's the difference between college and university in Japan and Thai. But just one thing that surprised was Aja, the teacher. Teacher always coming late to class. That's surprising for me because Japanese teacher never be late to the class except for the special reason.
I see. So how do you find, are there any similarities between the culture of Japan and Thailand?
Culture,
Yeah.
it's, I think that especially Buddhist culture, Thai people always, when they greeting, they do like why? Is it called why, right? Yeah, I think. No, Japanese doesn't do when they are greeting, but when we start eating and when we say sorry, we usually do like this. We don't call this why, but it's almost same, I think.
I see.
Yes.
So like the way the way Thai people greet and the way you all use the hand gesture is same.
Yeah, I think.
See. Okay. So and it's like related to Buddhist culture, you mean?
Yes, it's coming from Buddhist culture.
I see. I see. So how if I am to ask you, what did you learn most from the exchange program here?
I think it's I learn English experience from my friends. When I come to Thailand at first, I didn't think you guys have not so many Europeans that English people, so I don't think I can improve my English. But there's so many people, so many European people, not so many Thai.
So your English has improved after coming here.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. So so can you tell your friends and can you tell us how to become more hardworking? Like what are the tips to be more hardworking?
Just come to Japan.
Oh, so you want people to come to Japan? No, that's an interesting impression. So any further comments or any aspirations that you want to share apart from that?
For about Thailand?
Or about the whole world? Like what do you aspire or like aim?
can I talk just one strange thing?
Sorry?
Uh,
Sure.
when I go to Chak Chak MRT, it's a kind of station, and I got seriously stomach ache, so I went to toilet. Sorry, that's kind of dirty, but so I went to toilet and I finished it. So I realized Thailand has no tissues.
Oh.
I realized. So I took 1 hour there. So friends coming and I was helped.
Oh, okay.
So just one tip: take your tissue with yourself if you come to
Okay.
Thailand. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, that was a very thank you for your comments, very hilarious comments, and then thank you for joining us for today's show for such an interesting talk. So thank you for making the whole conversation very fun and very interesting insights you shared. So good luck for your studies and have a nice stay in Thailand.
Okay.
That was Kotaro from Japan, and then his experiences here in Thailand. So stay tuned in for more such stories and more conversations. Thank you.
And that wraps up ASEAN Challenge this week. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you again next week. For now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ